and it's been a quiet week in Storrs, Connecticut, my hometown, out on the edge of the campus. The cold weather is finally tapering off once and for all. People of Storrs have been looking ahead on their weather apps and seeing up to 13 consecutive days with temperatures in the 60s, which prompts them to gingerly put their phones down on the countertop and throw their hands up in joy and yell,
"Finally! Temperatures in the 60s! Now we can go back to the era of Jimi Hendrix, Woodstock, the first moon landing, and Vietnam. Yay!"
Of course, we still have the occasional cold day, by which I mean temperatures in the 40s, but all of us are very much aware that several weeks ago those days would have been considered warm, which goes to show that temperature is relative.
Hi, cousin.
Not that kind of relative. But even when it's cold outside, the people of Storrs find a metaphorical warmth in the places that make Storrs what it is, like Storrs Center, otherwise known as
the Storrs of Storrs.
The other day I was in Storrs Center, and as I so often do in these monologues, I walked into the Dog Lane Cafe.
Come, sit, stay.
And as I sat at one of the tables by the window waiting for the bartender, Howard K. Teasdale, to bring me my salmon and avocado calzone, I happened to notice two cashiers walking out of 7-Eleven nearby. They were talking so loudly that I could hear them through the glass. One was complaining to the other about a customer who had behaved somewhat erratically toward her.
"I can't believe it. He just leaped over the counter and tried to hug me. What's gotten into people?"
And the other responded,
"Well, it's a good thing I was there to counter his move."
It reminded me of the spring of 1969, back when I was a student at UConn. I was taking a journalism class that semester, and one day my lab instructor, a local journalist named Maria Allstring, gave us a rather daunting assignment.
Folks, there are a lot of things that journalists must be. They must be persistent. They must be strong-willed. But most of all, they must be thrill seekers. So your assignment for today is to write a 950-word news story in the next 45 minutes. Go!
For the next 5 minutes, most of the people in the class did nothing but panic until one student, Madge Castle, had the common sense to ask Maria Allstring,
"Pardon me for asking, Maria, but is there anything in particular that you'd like the news stories to be about?"
And Maria responded,
"I don't care. Make it up if you have to. You see, in journalism, getting a story done on time is always more important than getting the facts right." Or something like that.
So I ended up writing a fake news story about a local restaurant called the Paradis Cafe, which was located in a
Don't you dare make a pun out of my name, Josh.
Which was located in a dark alley. I made up a sequence of events involving a skirmish that had taken place in the kitchen of the Paradise Cafe, which had led to the manager firing himself and then, in a bizarre twist, suing himself for having been fired. And 40 minutes later, we all printed out our stories and handed them in to Maria Allstring, who took one look at the front page of my story and said,
"Josh, this story makes as much sense as one of those monologues you write and perform on your radio show. And that's why I love it."
Of course, these days, many of the people of Storrs still don't make much sense, but they manage to be nonsensical in an even more philosophically random and gracefully spontaneous way. The last time I was in the Dog Lane Cafe...
Come, sit, stay.
There was a local stand-up comedian named Ally Paradis who was literally standing up on one of the tables and making comedian-style remarks.
"Well, folks, now it's time to turn the tables. Just don't turn this table, or else I might fall down. Get it? Funny story. The other day I was changing a light bulb in my house, and I asked myself, how many comedians would it take to change that light bulb? And then I laughed so hard I fell off my stepladder. You know, I love my stepladder. It's such a wonderful stepladder. But I wish I knew my real ladder."
And it reminded me of the spring of 1969, back when I always had to include 2 flashbacks in any given monologue. I was a student at UConn that spring, and one day I was in my dorm watching a TV show called The Young and the Not So Young. And at one point a commercial came on, and at first it looked like a religious commercial, but then I realized I was looking at one of UConn's administrators, Susan Ferpa, dressed as a minister. She began the ad by saying,
"What do you call a minister who appears in a commercial?" "An ad minister. Hi, I'm Susan Ferpa, And I'm an administrator.
And I laughed so hard I didn't hear the rest of the commercial because I realized that not only was Susan Ferpa a real administrator, she also played one on TV. And that's the news from Storrs, Connecticut, where all the women are strong, all the men are good-looking, and all the hermaphrodites are above average.